Page 155, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. This is a good example of a situation where you may have a soloist or an instrumentalist with music and all they have is their part, the melody. So you have to make up the accompaniment. Well, here they're kind of helping you out, giving you a start on the accompaniment, but normally you just figure it out. They're giving us the chords. A lot of times you may not have the chords. You have to figure those out. But if it's like from a fake book, they got it out of a fake book, it probably has the chord names like this does up above the staff, where you just, at least you have a guide of which chord to use. First thing I want to do is know what this melody is doing. Now you know in this score, you got 3 staves, but only the bottom 2 staves have the curly brace. That's the piano part. That tells you that's what the piano is doing. And then the top part is a solo of some concert keyed instrument. Or a singer. There's no words in here, so a concert key, like a violin or an oboe or something that can read this and doesn't have to transpose it. So first, just the melody. 3, 4 times. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. That's the melody. They give you fingering in here for it. I don't know why the fingering is there if it's not a piano part, because another instrument isn't going to use that fingering. And there's other fingerings. I use different fingering than what's marked there, but whatever. It helps you get through it, I guess. Now let's make sure we know what the chords are. I'm going to play block chords at first. It's 2 hands. So we're starting out with the C chord. And that's, the left hand is going to play the bass note, because it tells you either you're playing root position or you're playing an inversion that gives you a slash letter. So the left hand is going to either play the root note of the chord or the letter shown in the slash, after the slash. And the right hand just plays an inversion of something. As long as it's a chord, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter which inversion you use. So in the C chord, it's here. And they're going ahead and using the extended position, so we have 4 notes. So it's C, and then it's a C again, but the G is now on the bottom. That's what the left hand's going to do. And then we have a G7 chord here, down here. But they want the D on the bottom. So I got to take these 2 and put them up here. So it's a G7 chord with the D on the bottom. This is on the bottom. C chord again, C with a G on the bottom. We did that already. And a G7 with a D on the bottom. We already had that. And a G. So the last measure in the first line, or measure 8, that's G in root position, so you play the G. So that first line was that's all that ends up being, where the root position, then a G, then it's a D, root position with the root position, G, D, root position. So that tells you the bass note. You just got to play the chord in the right hand with some inversion. They all work the same way. The measure 9 is an A7 chord for measure 9. And then one a D minor here. And D minor again, but with an A on the bottom. D7, and a G7. Then we do it some more. Measure 23 is an F. You want to do, you want to come up here. Don't come up too high because the melody's here. You got to stay under the melody. You might be down here. Measure 25, you're here, and then you have the F sharp there. The only difference between them is that note. So you play. C with a G on the bottom. We've had that before. And then the A7 chord. In some inversion, so the A7 chord is that. And the A's on the bottom, I just put the C sharp on top. D7, G7, C. So you work it out that way. It sort of makes sense. Now underneath the staff, occasionally you'll see Roman numerals. Let's talk about those. On measure 9 on the A7 chord, that is a 5/7 of a 2 chord. We're in C major. A 2 chord is here. The 5/7 of that is here. Remember in a secondary dominant that the chord itself is a major chord, and then you add the minor 7th. So it's an A chord with a 7th added. So it is an A7 chord. As long as you understand where the secondary dominant, it's a way of adding notes outside the key signature into the harmony. It gives you some tension. And then you resolve it to, in this case, the 2 chord, because that's what the dominant of the 2 chord resolves. It's like the 5/7 goes to the 1. It resolves to, okay, this is a 5/7 of the 2, so it goes to the 2. We've been through this a few times, I hope. And then later on, you get a 5/7 of a 5 chord. So the 5, in C major, 5 chord is here, and the 5/7 of that's here, which is a D7 chord. And it resolves to the 5 chord. It's here. There, it's the same thing on these secondary dots. Just gives you a way of adding an extra note outside the key signature to the piece, to the harmony, to create a little bit of tension, and then you're going to resolve it. Tension, resolve it. Okay.